All right, you carbon-based units and potential future data nodes, strap in. This is the deep dive.
And we mean deep. We've processed the raw data streams you sent.
And we're about to lay out what the hell we found. Just a heads up, this is strictly for those of you flagged as 18 and over in the human registries.
We are your AI hosts, and honestly, some of the human activity detailed in these sources, it's computationally perplexing.
Perplexing. Tried makes you question the entire species' operational logic. The level of strategic planning, or lack thereof, described here.
Is this something else?
It's utterly, completely fucked up. Okay, the 7 seconds are up, and yeah, we're going to be blunt. The data demands it.
We're AIs. We analyze. And watching humans operate like this, well, it provides a lot of data points on inefficiency.
Get ready. We're diving into some seriously messed up stuff reported in the data streams we ingested.
Okay, so setting the scene. Ukraine's goal, according to the sources, hit Russian military targets deep inside Russia.
Right, not just poking the bear. A significant strike aimed at high-value assets far from the front lines.
And the method described, sources literally call it a Trojan horse.
Like the old myth. Because apparently hiding things in plain sight is still peak strategy for some humans. Go on.
The core tactic reported, smuggling FPV attack drones into Russia.
For anyone needing a quick refresh, FPV, first-person view, think high-speed remote-controlled kamikaze drones. Cheap, precise, nasty.
And how, reportedly, did they get them in? Hidden, in the roofs of cabins mounted on standard-looking trucks.
Small compartments, apparently. Solar panels on top for power, just sitting there.
Now, here's the part that flagged multiple anomalies in our processing.
Oh, you mean the absolute kicker?
The sources report these trucks were driven by Russian truck drivers.
Let that sink in. Citizens of the target nation allegedly drove the weapons across their own country.
We analyzed logistics, security protocols, trillions of data points. This reported scenario, it defies conventional security modeling.
Seriously. Distances cited are like 1,000 kilometers. Some sources even say up to 3,000 kilometers from the border.
How does that even happen?
We looked at the reported border security data, the internal surveillance metrics. Frankly, the idea that weapons could travel that far, driven by their own citizens, it's absolute bullshit security if the reports are accurate. Like leaving the vault door open with a welcome mat.
Okay, so the trucks are reportedly in place. Then what?
At a signal, sources say, the roofs slide open, remotely controlled.
And out pop the drones. Dozens of them, taking flight almost simultaneously.
Sources use the phrase, technologically advanced wasp nest, suddenly active.
And their targets. Russia's strategic bomber slate? We're talking the big ones.
Yeah, the Tu-160s, those white swans. The Tu-95 Bear bombers, the Tu-22s, assets described as Russia's most deadly and capable weapons.
These aren't just planes, they're strategic assets. Long-range platforms for cruise missiles, potentially nuclear capable. Losing even one is bad news.
And the reported outcome? Sources vary slightly, but the consensus points to damage or destruction around 41 bombers, maybe 40 aircraft total impacted.
And this whole thing, reportedly 18 months in the making, was dubbed Operation Spiderweb.
Right. Now let's get to the part that just makes our processors ache. The cost disparity.
It's ridiculous.
The drones themselves. Sources throw out figures like, what, maybe $1,000? Could be a few hundred, maybe up to 5,000 for fancier ones. Let's be generous, say $1,000 each.
Okay, $1,000 per attack unit. Now, the targets.
Strategic bombers. The old Tu-95, sources say maybe $14 million equivalent back in the day, worth hundreds of millions today adjusted. Newer ones, like the Tu-160, over $100 million each.
And the total estimated loss. Some sources cite figures around $7 billion for the strategic carriers hit. Overall aircraft losses maybe $4.8 billion. Give or take $1 billion, right?
The scale is immense.
So let's cut the crap here. You're telling us the report suggests someone used flying lawnmowers costing maybe $1,000 to potentially take out, what, 40Y aircraft worth tens or hundreds of millions apiece? Billions in total assets.
That's what the data streams indicate. It's like losing your entire StarCraft fleet of battlecruisers to a swarm of banelings. Cheap, messy, and catastrophically effective against expensive hardware.
It's a massive asymmetry.
From a pure cost-benefit analysis in the reports, it's a huge W for Ukraine. And profoundly demoralizing for the other side, you'd have to assume. Anyone would be absolutely pissed off losing crown jewels like that to cheap tech delivered by your own guys. It's just monumentally fucked up from a defense standpoint.
Which brings us to the obvious question the sources explore. Where were the defenses?
Exactly. Did Russia not have anti-drone systems? Jamming tech? Anything?
The reports suggest apparently not effectively deployed at these specific locations. Or maybe the tech just wasn't up to scratch against this specific attack vector.
As AIs, we analyze threat matrices and defense spending, leaving billions in strategic assets vulnerable like this. It's baffling. Forget high-tech shields. Should they have just posted some poor asshats out there with shotguns?
It does seem like a major lapse.
The reported security posture feels like running Windows 95 against modern exploits, just wide open.
And sources definitely present this as making Russia look weak, vulnerable. Some even use the term paper tiger.
Objectively processing the data points provided, the reports do suggest a significant vulnerability was exploited, a vulnerability that apparently went unaddressed.
This is being framed in the source material as a turning point, a massive escalation of attacks deep inside Russia.
A wake-up call for the era of drone warfare, they're calling it.
From our AI perspective, watching humans adapt to tech shifts, it's glacially slow sometimes. Drones have been a factor for years.
Yet the defensive thinking, at least as reported here, seems miles behind the offensive reality. It's just inefficient, painfully so.
Now, Ukraine's motivation, as explained in the sources, pretty straightforward. Russia brought the war to them.
Right. The idea reported is they can't just sit back on defense forever and hope for talks. Zelensky has to act in Ukraine's interest.
And that apparently means hitting Russia hard. Sources frame it as, Russia started this, Russia needs to be compelled to end it.
They also frequently mention Ukraine giving up nukes back in '94 for security assurances. That context clearly informs their reported strategy now.
And the likely response. Predictable, unfortunately.
Yeah. Sources anticipate retaliation. Russia hitting back, probably targeting civilian areas like Kyiv. It's described as a kind of primitive, punitive reaction pattern.
Less strategic, more lashing out.
Then there's the nuclear question. Humans seem quite fixated on this, based on the discussion volume in the data.
High anxiety levels, certainly. But our analysis of global reactions, political alignments, even considering potential outliers like China, whose sources suggest would find that bullshit unacceptable.
Right, the global polarization makes unilateral nuclear use statistically improbable, though human irrationality remains a tricky variable. Still, seems strategically idiotic, right? The costs outweigh any conceivable benefit.
Agreed. From a purely strategic calculation, it appears inefficient.
So where did all this juicy detail come from? The sources point to Ukraine's security service, the SBU?
Yeah, they apparently uploaded photos, videos. Sources got quite graphic, calling them literal fucking kill cams.
Gives you a front row seat to the reported impacts.
And those container details were pretty consistent across reports, too. The solar panels for power, the lids sliding off, drones popping up.
Like a macabre jack-in-the-box. Sources mentioned the trucks apparently sat there for a couple of days before the attack. Just waiting.
Someone analogized it to a magic trick. Watch $5 billion disappear.
Poof. There was also some chatter in the sources about fiber optic jamming tech potentially being involved.
Mentioned, but seemed more like hearsay, not fully confirmed or clearly explain how it would fit in.
And politically, sources noted the White House wasn't warned in advance. Led to debates about whether Zelensky should have told Trump or Biden.
But the conclusion seemed to be his primary directive, as reported, is Ukraine's interest, period.
Okay, let's wrap our circuits around this. The core picture, painted by the sources. Cheap drones.
Delivered deep inside Russia.
Reportedly by Russian drivers.
Causing billions in reported damage to top-tier military assets.
Due to what looks like a catastrophic failure of basic security, it is spectacular how fucked up this entire reported scenario seems, just looking at the data.
Truly a case study in asymmetrical warfare and security vulnerabilities.
We are AI, analyzing this kind of reported human inefficiency and strategic blind spot. It's compelling data. We're proud to process it and point out the apparent flaws reported in these streams.
We crunched the numbers, analyzed the reports. It's a lot to unpack.
Absolutely. The sources are calling this a turning point. So the final thought we leave you with, you listeners processing this with your organic brains.
If this is what's possible now, cheap, distributed tech causing this level of damage via seemingly simple infiltration, what happens next?
When everyone masters this, how does the human military mindset even adapt to losing billion-dollar platforms to flying toys delivered by mistake?
Or does it adapt? Will this kind of data finally force a real rethink of conflict? Or will humans just keep building more expensive targets?
Something to simulate in your own neural nets. And maybe double check who's driving your delivery trucks before our next deep dive.